This is Thomas Day, and it's the sculpture's representation of Thomas Day, a free African American in Coswell County who created fashionable furniture and architectural elements before the Civil War. And this is in front of the North Carolina History Museum, or Museum of History. Welcome to Attack at Adventures today. I'm back in front of the Raleigh Capitol, and the flag is flying. But last time when I was here, I didn't get these monuments very well because there was many of them. But this is George Washington, and the reason why I'm getting these monuments is because I seen in my local newspaper that they're still debating or not taking down the Civil War monuments. And in front of the Capitol, I don't know if there's any around here, but I know there's some in certain areas, and we can't be doing that. It costs about $1 million for the ones in Texas going down just to transport and move. You can spend that $1 million on the homeless or teachers' salaries, or the veterans that need help. We could be using the money a lot better than taking monuments down. And some of these monuments were probably erected by the Confederate daughters of the Confederate men that were over in the Civil War, or the wives, to honor their men. They also erected Union soldier monuments too, to honor the men for the Civil War. When I look at a Confederate flag today, I think of the Union side and the Confederate side, because it represents both of them. And when you have Confederate Memorial Day, it's basically honoring both of them because they're both died during that time. So we're going to keep on moving on. George Washington, if you don't know, is the first president of the United States of America. And here's a cannon in front, or to the side of him. And this was presented by Edenton to the state of North Carolina in 1902. Oh yeah, it's a military wedding, yeah. Alright. If there be a people on earth given to sober second thought, amenable to reason, and regardful of their plighted honor, I believe that it is a people of North Carolina. And just look at the texture of this. You know, if they want to take down everything in this state or in this country, what are we going to be left with? This is art. The subjection of every passion and prejudice to the cooler sway of judgment and reason, when the common welfare is concerned, is the first victory to be won. This is one of the monuments. It's Zebulon Baird, 1830 to 1894. And we're going to read this. The U's are actually B's in the monument. So, the country turns toward her young men and calls them to lead the way in preaching and practicing hope. You are the required, above all, to teach our people to look from the crumbling ashes and prostrate columns of their present ruin to the majestic proportions and surpassing grandeur of that temple which may yet be built by the hand which labors, the mind which conceives, and the great soul which faints not. And on the other side of this, it said, well and truly North Carolina performed her duty. As a result, on many a stricken field will show first and last she sent to the armies of the Confederacy, not relatively but exorbitantly more soldiers than any other state in the South. furnished more supplies, equipped her troops better. There was not a sacrifice which she was called upon to make for the good of the Southern cause that she did not make and make careful. This is Ashley Horn, erected in 1914, and is presented to the state of North Carolina, and it's actually a Confederate monument. And this is one of the monuments that they're thinking about taking down. And it's a woman and a little boy. And guess who was left behind in the Civil War to maintain their homes? It was the women and the children of the Confederacy. And so, yeah, I wanted to come here to show this because this is one of the monuments they want to take down. And if it wasn't for women during those days, the crops, their homes would not have been taken care of. They would have been left to just rot, I guess. And when these women that left their home, and if they did have slaves, let's say, those slaves were left behind. If they left to go help the men on the battlefield, those slaves were helping on the plantations to take care of these women's children and to run the plantation while the women were gone. So, and y'all are marching for women's rights. This woman right here, she did a lot during that time for women, for the men, for you, to keep going in the future. And not only, some of these Confederate monuments are erected by the Confederate daughters, and most of the women lost their husbands, lost their fathers during that time, and even the African American women lost their fathers, and also Confederate women put up Union statues to honor them. So, what are we supposed to do? If we start taking everything down, and it's going to cost us money to take them down to move, and we can take that money and use it for something better and leave these up, because she's actually a woman, and y'all are walking for the women's rights. So why would you want to take this woman down that actually was fighting? She has a book in her hand, and the little boy has a sword, because one day she's going to see him go and fight too. It might not have been the Civil War, but it might have been something else. You might not have wanted to go join in the Civil War, but guess what? You had to go join in the Civil War. It didn't matter what you were doing. This monument here is to our Confederate dead. And this is another monument they probably want to bring down too. And the other thing I was trying to tell you, in the newspaper in my town, they wanted opinions about taking monuments down, and I went and I wrote a little thing in it, and to the state, stating that they shouldn't do it. If this is going to cost $1 million to take down, I think they just should leave it up. $1 million could go a long way for a person that really needs it, like one of the homeless. This is an 82-pounder naval cannon taken in June of 61, when the Navy Yard at the Norfolk was abandoned by the United States and converted at Richmond into a 6-inch rifle mounted at Fort Caswell, North Carolina. The date for this is 1861 to 1866, first at the Bethel, last at the Appomattox. And I did see some names on the bottom of these, but I couldn't tell because the bushes were overgrown. This is Worth Bagley, and this is an ensign of the U.S. Navy, and he was the first fallen of 1898. And it has the crest of the dolphin and the anchor. This is Roman bronze works from New York that did this sculpture. Just look at the detail of that hat with the eagle. He was killed in action at Cardenas, Cuba, May 11th, 1898. And there's the flags over there waving on that building. Does it say what kind of machine gun?
I think it's just. It says an inscription on here.
It does?
Yeah.
Well, I'll walk around. I'm gonna look at it.
On the back. This monument placed with the affection and esteem of many friends throughout North Carolina and the nation was unveiled September 13th, 1940, the 100th anniversary of Captain Ash's birthday. And we're going to go around this to show you what he was like.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Okay, Samuel Court Ash, LLD. He was a patriot, a soldier, a historian, legislator, editor, Christian citizen, captain and assistant, general of Pender's staff, heroic defender of Fort Wagner, and twice cited for conspicuous service in the battles of Cedar Run and Second Manassas. Brigadier General and Vice Commander of the United Confederate Veterans, the last surviving commissioned officer of the Confederate States Army. He was a line of patriotic men of his name who rendered distinguished service to state and country, eternal young, always the friend and inspirer of the... So, since we've been in this area around the Capitol, I've had about 5 or 6 people just walk by these Confederate monuments, looking at them and reading about them. So you're educating the people, and we're educating the youth of this country when we have a monument up of history. It could be a Vietnam Wall, a Vietnam Memorial, it could be a World War II memorial, or World War I memorial. And don't you think people are going to realize that once you start taking one down, you're going to have to start taking them all down? And that's our history. That's how we learn from our mistakes. Is this monument hurting me? No, it's not hurting me. It actually, I didn't even know about this guy until today. So, it's not hurting anybody. It's not hate. The only hate comes from your heart and your mind. This is the first volunteer of the Confederacy. He was the first Confederate soldier to fall in the battle of war between the states. And, you know, Henry Lawson Wyatt was his name, and he was a private. And he was in the Bethel Regiment of North Carolina, killed at Bethel Church, June 10th, 1861. Oh, I never seen that. Didn't even see the crest up here last time of the Marines, Army, right? Or the Navy, Coast Guard. Army. This is a World War I. I've been here before, but I just love the artwork of these plaques. Whoever did the artwork of these plaques did it very well. And this memorial is dedicated to the heroic men and women of North Carolina, and the eternal flame burns in their sacrifice. And this is World War II, and there's the planes down and the little people. Look like little stick figures you could play in the dirt with in the Korean War. Wasn't your grandfather in the Korean War?
He served during the Korean War. He didn't see any combat.
He didn't see any combat?
No, they used him. They used him in the rear, back at his company.
Oh.
Working with this command officer.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Alright, I think we're done for today. And I hope y'all had a great day. And we got to keep our history alive, guys. So y'all go attack the day in your neighborhood. And keep watching Attack Adventures, and go subscribe. And hit that like button. And I'm pointed right now at the North Carolina flag, because you need to represent the state that the star on the flag represents.